How does it work?
Yes, we plan to record the session.
Okay. So we
With your permission, of course.
yeah, please do. Right? Okay, Jim can they can record it, right, Jim?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I'm going to start sharing my screen. I think I'm already sharing it, but I'm going to
You
start
have
from
started to share your screen, Jay. So let me do the formal honors of introducing the speakers, etc., etc. And to my little small gathering of a light audience here. I don't know if you're able to see the place where we are right now.
I can see you and the screen.
Right. Okay. So I am standing on the stage at the podium, and I have a few students who have come in here to attend your lecture, while all others are promptly online. And I have my library team here with me, the entire team of 8-9 members, and my chairman of library committee, Professor Kamaljeet Rangra, who comes from electrical engineering department here. And so let me begin this session for today. Namaskar and good evening to you all. It is heartening to see and note the warm reception for the Learning Hub webinar series launched by the SR Ranganathan Learning Hub, IIT Jodhpur. In the series today, we shall hear about a much-awaited topic of research integrity, ChatGPT, and scholarly communication. Our speakers for today are Jai Bhatt, Engineering Librarian, Scholarly Connections, and Jeam Camilo, Librarian, Library Services, and Quality Improvement, both from Drexel University, Philadelphia, US. ChatGPT is a trending hot topic in the scholarly circles today, and at the same time, it is of a major concern too because of the potential perils like retractions for a co-authorship from ChatGPT like AI tools. You all must have gone through the summary of today's lecture already. Still, for the benefit of those who have not, I shall read it out. So, in recent years, the scientific community has witnessed several instances of retracted research papers due to the evidence found of scientific misconduct after those papers were published. This presentation will highlight the importance of academic and scientific integrity in the progress of global research. Whether you are writing a research paper or completing an assignment for your class, it is extremely important to provide proper credit to various sources of information that were used in projects or assignments. Using various examples of breaches in academic misconduct or retracted papers from published literature, violations in scientific integrity and academic misconduct are explained, and possible hindrances and obstacles to scientific progress are illustrated. Their consequences can be extremely damaging in career promotion and future research collaborations. With the advent of AI tools such as ChatGPT, it is even more important to scrutinize research integrity from the perspectives of scholarly communication and responsible AI. Now, friends, it's my proud privilege to introduce today's speakers to you. Jai Bhatt, as I said, is the engineering librarian in the Scholarly Connections Department at Drexel University. Jai is responsible for building library collections in engineering subject areas, as well as outreach and teaching information and research skills to faculty and students in Drexel's College of Engineering and College of Biomedical Engineering. He provides individual and small group consultations, instructional sessions, and workshops and online research support for students in on-campus and distance learning programs. He is passionate about participating in conversations and raising awareness about open access, open data, and open educational resources in engineering among faculty and students. He particularly loves mentoring and working directly with students. And he believes that the best learning occurs when it involves the mutual sharing of ideas, knowledge, and experiences. He also was invited as presenter and invited speaker at several library-related international webinars. Jay is the 2022 president of Special Libraries Association Science and Technology Community. He is also a member of Engineering Philadelphia and Asian Community of the Special Libraries Association. In 2022, Jay received SLA Science Technology Communities and Koopman Science Technology Community Achievement Award. In 2017, he received the Engineering Librarian of the Year Award from the Engineering Division of the Special Libraries Associations. And in 2010, he received the Homer I. Bernhardt Distinguished Service Award from the Engineering Libraries Division of the American Society of Engineering Education. Our co-speaker, Jeam Camilo, is the librarian, library services, and quality improvement at Drexel University. At Drexel, Jeam provides general as well as specialized reference services, instructs clients in the use of information resources and services, assists with easy proxy to assess or schedule a project, and manages information literacy for higher education project. Also, he develops tools and instruction for clients' use of information resources, besides managing, inventorying, organizing, and updating the library's electronic resource information and collection weeding. Prior to Drexel, he has had the opportunity to navigate in diverse areas in libraries in Brazil, Portugal, and United States. Standards in ABNT and APA, coordinator and teacher, technical course and librarianship. Curious about life and different experiences as an artist, Jim had the opportunity to work as a theater actor in Lisbon, Portugal, and as a writer, publishing 2 books in Portuguese. So I hand over the baton to our speakers for this evening and request them to start off the interesting session. Jay, over to you.
Thank you, Shema, and thank you so much, IIT and you for inviting us to present this very important topic on research integrated chat, GPT, and scholarly communication. And I'm very happy to have my colleague and friend Jim here today, and he's also going to add his comments during the presentation as well. I'm not going to go through the whole thing here, but only thing I'm going to highlight is the last part of this sentence. Shema has already read most of this. And in particular, we are talking about research integrity, ChatGPT, and how scholarly communication could be impacted because of AI tools. So it is very important for us to scrutinize research integrity from the perspectives of scholarly communication and responsible artificial intelligence. And one thing I really want to highlight is that this particular topic is continuously evolving, changing, and new things are developed almost every day. So I really strongly encourage you to keep track of the recent developments of ChatGPT in its application in a variety of forms. And I suggest that you just do a Google alert. You can go to Google Alerts and create an account, or just type a save search for ChatGPT and scholarly communication, or whatever keywords you want to put. And every day you're going to come up with something new. And so during the later part of the conversation, I'm going to highlight some of those chat GPT responses that we have, Jim and I found very interesting and very thought-provoking, and we'll share those and we'll incite some good conversation. So starting with basic slide on authentic and research integrity, we'll think about what is authenticity, what is genuine information, how it is applied to academic integrity, and then mainly our research will focus on research integrity. In academic integrity, we mean is when the students are copying and pasting and in their homework assignments or in their papers. Sometimes they share with each other and do a joint common homework. And these are the things that are strongly to be avoided. And we have seen a number of cases like that where students are simply copying and pasting papers from Google or other resources, and then they submit it. Now, almost everywhere we have plagiarism detection software, and that catches almost all those issues and resulting in a lot of punishment for them. And you will see how we are addressing that issue. Uh, this is a focus of another presentation, but I'm just going to highlight this academic integrity from the perspectives of plagiarism and so on. And then we'll focus on research integrity and how data is manipulated and uh, uh, images are fabricated and in the publications. And then we'll come back to focus on artificial intelligence in scholarly communication. What are the implications? What happens? Who is the actually? We need to think about when you have ChatGPT or any AI tools come up with some document, and we need to think about who actually is the author of that, and that's where the some of the conversation we are going to involve with. Um, Society of American Archivists, they have a very nice, a useful definition of authenticity, the quality of being genuine, not a counterfeit, and free from tampering, and is typically inferred from internal and external evidence, including its physical characteristics, structure, content, and context, perceived as genuine rather than as counterfeit. Now, this is becoming so common these days that when you see if WhatsApp message, we are just forwarding it without even thinking about whether it is how really it is true or is it genuine or not. And we take for granted that this WhatsApp message or any message that is forwarded on the social media platform is genuine or not. And just imagine that one false information is transmitted throughout the world by simply forwarding that message hundreds of times. And I strongly encourage and think before you forward a message, think whether it is genuine, whether it is real, whether it is authentic before we forward it. Um, Briefly, I have already explained what is academic, which is relating to school education. This part of Merriam-Webster dictionary. Integrity is adherence to moral and ethical principles, soundness of moral character, and honesty. And when we try to address all these issues, and we are conscious about our own work, whether it is original, whether it is genuine, did I work hard to create something that is unique? That is when we feel so proud of our own work. And this is the trait that we need to develop among our youngsters, our children, even school students, because if they learn how to copy and paste in schools, they are going to bound to take it further in colleges as well. So what happens in academics? Professors usually want to see your work as being original, not plagiarized. They don't want to uh, see copy and paste. In one instance, I noticed that it was a computer science class, and some students worked together and they submitted the same code to their professors, and which was very easy to capture. And all of those students were punished because of that. Um, there are a number of ways that happens. Students are also sharing, they're working together, create the same homework, submit it, assuming that there are 100 students class and professor is not going to capture it, but they don't realize that there are means that can be detected. Um, Very important for our students to develop understanding concepts and ideas, and they should be able to understand that concepts to them to other students, other faculty members. They should be able to address those concepts as a presentation when they're asked to do that. And this is more so often in AI tools, because what happens is that students will ask a question that I need to find information on climate change. AI tool gives some information, they copy and paste, uh, um, and unless they have given some thought to it, they have not learned anything. How are they going to explain to themselves? So this is something we need to focus on. Reusing a paper is forbidden. Original research data needs to be presented. You are expected to cite the ideas and words of others, so your professor knows where to go for more information. And not just the professors. You did a research, you write a paper, you are citing all the references, and if it is an authenticate and a correct data, those who want to replicate that data, they can be able to do based upon your references and following to the experiments. We'll come back to that, but one question I want to ask you is, researchers working on an experiment, they do hundreds of experiments, come up with a research paper, and then they publish it. Can AI tools even understand what kind of experiment that scientist has done? Um, it's very difficult unless those methods were really explained. And we'll go back to AI again at later to see how it is so difficult. Our university also has a whole page on academic integrity website. So if you click on that link, it gives directions, encouragement, and policies of our academic integrity mm, uh, definitions. Upholding these values is the most important thing, and for any academic, any universities, any institutions, this is absolutely critical. And these violations that they happen, they are not just limited to plagiarism or cheating, but there is also fabrication, research misconduct, and so on, scientific misconduct, and we'll see how that is even happening in the professional world later on. Um, our provost's page defines scientific misconduct as fabrication, falsification, plagiarism, or other practices that seriously deviate from those that are commonly accepted within the scientific community for proposing, conducting, or reporting research. So, with that in mind, one question that comes to mind is, how do we know what kind of literature is published on the topic of scientific misconduct? Are there any electronic databases or even Google Scholar or other things can help us discover those papers so that we can learn from it? Can we find research papers related to scientific misconduct and research through different discovery platforms and databases? And I take Web of Science as an example in this case, and I use scientific fraud and research integrity as one of the search example. And what I found was there were so many articles published on that topic already. So you will see that there are almost 300 papers using these keywords, scientific fraud and research integrity. And you can also see that if you look at the filters on the left, 140 of those papers were in open access platform. And I'll give you one example of the paper that was published in November of 2022 in European Journal of Radiology, Scientific Integrity and Fraud in Radiology Research. So topics like even research, they are finding papers were fabricated, some data was used that was not accurate, images were manipulated, and number of other ways it was discovered. And serious issue here is that, remember, these are the papers were already published. That means that the peer review was already done, paper was already published, and these fabrication were caught after those papers were published. And so that is not very good, because the peer review sort of somewhere it is failed, or something that happened that they were not able to detect it. This paper that on integrity scientific integrity matters. If you click on this link, you will find it. It is increasingly being called into question as the media bring to light cases of fraud. Industrial players are consequently worried about the reliability of results delivered by research centers and funding and evaluation agencies, as well as public research organizations and higher education institutions are setting up new internal units to combat scientific misconduct. So many universities have now started educating their graduate students or even advanced undergraduate students or even the research scholars to go to the course on ethics and scientific misconduct, and they have to go through all the assignments and questions, kind of a part of a curriculum. And that is very, very important that they learn all this um, as they continue to do their research later on in their professional fields. Um, NIH, which is the National Institute of Health, has also some description about research integrity. And if you click on this white link here, uh, it says the use of honest, verifiable methods in proposing, performing, and evaluating research. Notice the word honest is also included here. So you have to be honest in reporting your data. And when you are honest, you are not afraid of anything. You're fearless. So being honest in day-to-day life, not just in research, is absolutely critical. Reporting research results with particular attention to adherence to rules, regulations, guidelines, and following commonly accepted professional codes. There's a whole article on it, but I'm just highlighting a few things here. And there are shared values in scientific research are uh, included here. So honesty, accuracy, efficiency, objectivity. So when you do AI, for example, when you find some information there, you are going to keep on asking yourself, is it accurate? Whatever I find, whether it is on the AI, through AI tool, is it accurate? Is it objective? Is it efficient? How do I know? So these are the things that should ponder to your thinking. What is retraction and why it happens? What is retraction watch database? I'm not sure any of you have come across some articles where you will see on the page this article was retracted. Many times you will find it even when you are searching in Google Scholar, it will take you to the link and you will see that the paper has some warning, and then each page is highlighted or watermarked with retracted paper on it. So what is happening here? As I mentioned in the previous example of radiology, this plagiarism or misconduct was found after the paper was um, published. So what happens? I give you an example. Um, Suppose I came across a research paper that has highlighted some really interesting data, and I thought that this is something very important, and I just copy paste that data in my paper. I do not give credit to that paper, or I present it in such a way that I think that this is nobody's able to going to find it. Now remember that today's scientists and scholars are also keeping alerts. So if they see a paper very similar uh, to their own interest, they are going to discover that paper easily. And when they are reading the paper and they find certain section of the data, they begin to think, oh, this is exactly my data, or this is something copied from my article. And then they complain this to the editors. Now, editors will go to the investigation. They have their own reviewers. Remember, usually the paper is reviewed in a very non-identifiable way, meaning that the authors or the researchers don't know who the reviewers were, and the reviewers don't know who the authors are. So all the communication happens between the editors and authors, and editors and reviewers. Um, right. So then these reviewers are brought into scrutiny, and if it is determined that it is indeed the paper that was falsified or used, there was a scientific misconduct, then the paper is retracted. And you will see some example of it in later on in my presentation. And Jim, you're more than welcome to add your thoughts as well. Results in formal withdrawal of this paper. If you look at this website here, They have a number of papers on scientific misconduct, and it shows it has resulted in loss of credibility, loss of jobs, and loss of collaborative partnerships. Just imagine that someone looks at my paper and they see that my paper was retracted. Are they going to collaborate with me later on? No. They'll say that no, I have the habit of cheating and plagiarism. I don't want to work with you, and that consequences will result and really damage the researcher's career. And that's why it is very important for our students, our scholars, researchers to understand this. It is not just in engineering, in all disciplines, whether it is digital humanities or arts and sciences or nutrition or whatever departments, even physics, chemistry, the question of plagiarism, scientific misconduct does happen. Committee on Publication Ethics. There's a very important site, and I strongly encourage you to look at this website. And again, there is a link here. They have really highlighted what are the retraction guidelines. And I'm not going to read all of this, but I'm just going to read a few of them. Editors should consider retracting a publication if. I give you an example of conversation between editors and reviewers, and after discussion and careful analysis, if the editors determine that they have a clear evidence that the findings are unreliable, either as a result of a major error, it could be miscalculation, it could be experimental error, or it could be fabrication or falsification or image manipulation, and if it considers plagiarism, then those papers has to be retracted. The findings have previously been published elsewhere without proper attribution to previous sources or disclosure to the editor permission to republish or justification in cases of redundant publication. And many publishers have the policies that your paper should not have been submitted to somewhere else before. So these are the kind of things they need to be familiar with. Any of you who are interested in writing a research paper and want to publish later on must consider all these guidelines before you submit a paper for review in different journals. And let's give an example of one of the publishers elsewhere, and they have a whole web page on article withdrawal and the policies of retraction. So if you go to Elsewhere's web page, there's a whole section on article withdrawal, and they clearly say that Elsewhere recognizes the importance of integrity and completeness of the scholarly record to researchers and libraries and attaches the highest importance to maintaining trust and so on, authority of its electronic archive. And it went on to go further, explain something different. So you have article withdrawal, you have article retraction, then article removal, article replacement. All of those different things are clearly explained. So if I go to article retraction, they have a whole policy on how the article is retracted, infringement of professional ethical codes, and so on. And we are going to actually see the examples later on so that you will get a better idea of how uh, that article retracted and why was it retracted, because this is all explained. And it's a great teaching and learning experience for everyone by looking at those examples. In 2018, Retraction Watch came up with a database of more than 18,000 papers and conference materials that have been retracted since 1970s. And that was in 2018. So it was 5 years back, and that is continuously increasing and increasing since the last 5 years. So everybody knows that journal Science. So this came from the journal Science partnered with Retraction Watch to analyze the catalog. Um, and it identifies how those papers are retracted. And if you just type Retraction Watch database in Google, you will find a link to this database. And every day it comes up with examples or research papers that has been retracted. And this is the link to retractiondatabase.org for searching. You can type any keyword. Suppose I want to find paper on misconduct or data fabrication. I can just type data fabrication in this keyword for restriction or retraction or certain years. And if I know a particular journal, I can type that publisher, anything. You can try to fill up this field as much as you want and click on search, then it will pull up those articles that have been retracted because of that particular reason. And uh, these are some examples of articles that retraction were featured recently. I think when I did this, it was about a few weeks back. So these are not from this week. But if you go to the Traction Watch and look for this week's data, you are going to pull up some new examples. Um, for example, fired OSU postdoc charged with forgery admitted to faking data. Exclusive researchers has seized employment at university amid investigation and retraction. So this can happen. And most recently is the example of another university just announced just few days back that the researchers had to resign from after the cases of plagiarism and data fabrication were proved against him. Truly devastating. Four journals won't get new impact factors this year because of citation problems. So that is a big problem. You know that impact factors are very important way to determine the importance of a certain journal, and these are considered critical, especially in the faculty productivity and evaluation. Of course, impact factor is not the only way to measure the productivity, but is one of the measures. Uh, how can universities and journals better work together on research misconduct? So they are asking for collaboration with universities and journals so that you are combating against plagiarism and fabrication issues. So there are many articles like that. Okay, so how do you find retracted papers? What keywords I can use? You can use any of the databases in Google Scholar, Science Direct, Web of Science, your discovery uh, platforms such as Alma, or someone, whatever you use. And then you can use some of these keywords like article retracted. This article has been retracted, sloppy research, scientific fraud, notice of retraction, and so on. So these are some examples of keywords that you can use to find research papers that have been retracted. And this is from a page called Guide to Science Information Resources. What is retraction from Florida Atlantic University Libraries. And our university libraries also have created a page on finding fake news or how to create, how to cite, how to evaluate, all of those on as part of our information literacy tutorials that you could find on our library homepage. In Google Scholar, I'm just typing retracted articles. I'm only interested in articles. And when I click on search, I limited only to 2023, right? I wanted to see what happened in the result. Are there any recent articles that have been retracted? And then you will see that this was a 2023 paper from International Journal of System Assurance from Springer. Is no Springer. They are valid, good publishers. They have published a lot of scientific papers. And it has been retracted. If you click on this, you will see more why this was retracted. And in particular, I want to bring your attention to this article, a retracted article, accuracy detection of coronary artery disease using machine learning algorithms. And this has direct implications to AI. So this could happen. Again, this is 2023. So what I'm trying to bring out your attention to the fact is that don't simply rely only on AI. make sure you are responsible for what you publish, and make sure that you are not damaging your own image or your university or organization image by writing something which has a potential being retracted later on. And here is one example. Um, Retracted article, you will see something like this. This is the original article. Accuracy detection of coronary artery disease using machine learning algorithms. This paper was published in 2021, and it was retracted in 2023. So close to 2 years it went by before it was determined. So it does take time. By the time it is complained, and by the time all the investigation is completed, and by the time the notice is sent to the authors that paper has been retracted. And remember, the research is an ongoing process. So within these 2 years, some researchers may have found this paper very interesting, useful, and they may have cited that paper in their own papers. So what would happen? Citation to the retracted paper will go up in the process before the paper was retracted. So the question remains is if those paper has been retracted, and if this were also cited, whether those references should be removed or not from other papers they are citing these papers. That is a challenging issue. It is going to be very difficult because more and more papers are retracted, more and papers were already cited, and how are we going to change this? And some discussion has to take place about it. And here are some reasons why editor-in-chief and publisher have retracted this paper. I'm reading part of it. The article was submitted to be part of a guest edited issue. An investigation by the publisher found a number of articles, including this one, with a number of concerns, including but not limited to. So these are other reasons. Compromised editorial handling and peer review. So there is some issues with the peer review process. Inappropriate, irrelevant references not being in scope of the journal, and so on. Based on the investigations finding, the editor-in-chief therefore no longer has confidence in the results and conclusions. Now imagine other scholars, your supervisors, your advisors, other researchers and scholars in your network read this paper and read this, that um, no longer has confidence in the results. And if you are the ones whose paper is retracted, imagine the impact on your career at that point. So be careful. That's what I'm saying. Everybody is probably familiar with Science Direct database. I'm giving again the example of Science Direct, but I'm going in advanced search here. And in that, I'm just typing this quote, this article has been retracted. And when I click on search, I'm finding some examples of retracted papers. Again, this is very recent from a journal called Polymer on March 2023. And remember, this paper was published in 2020. So after 3 years, this was recorded. And you know, I don't know if any one of you are in the material science, materials engineering, or some engineering field. Polymer is one of the top journals in that area. And even from that journal, which is published by Elsevier, this article was retracted. Another paper from optical materials. This was relatively recent, 2022 published, and retraction notice was sent in 2023. And if you click on that link, you will get details about the retracted paper, and with the explanation. It also gives Elsevier's policy, and usually any publisher whose article journal has retracted articles will also have their own policies. So refer to those policies. And why was it retracted? This article has been retracted at the request of the authors and institution, even the institution requesting it, as the research was published without the required approvals of the responsible authorities where the work was carried out, and therefore did not comply with both institutional policies and Polymer's own policies for publication. It's a serious issue and does happen. You will need to take approvals from everyone responsible in your institution before the article is submitted for publication. Another example, this paper was retracted because it was concurrently published in two different journals due to the author's misinterpretation of the journal publishing policy. For this, the authors apologized to the scientific community and to the readers of the journal. And so, authors have formally also giving a apologetic statement in the retraction notice in the journal. So these are the kind of things you need to actually worry about. And I can also search by retraction notice as a keyword. Then you will find retraction notice 2. Again, this is from the Journal of Heart and Lung Transplantation. It's a major journal in the medicine field, and those who are in biomedical engineering, they are also working on such topics about designing artificial hearts and things like that. Regenerative medicine, tissue engineering, regeneration, all those are very important in the coming years, because this is kind of research which is state of the art and emerging kind of technologies. And what will happen after the article is retracted, each page you will see a notice like this, this waterproof mark retracted on each page. So the paper remains on the website, but with retracted notice of retraction, why it was retracted, and this mark on every page of the paper. So what happens? Other scientists, other scholars read this paper, they see retracted, and they see the names of these people, where are they from, and even if their topic sounded more like what they are working on, and even you probably don't want to collaborate with them. Now remember, in today's world, the scientific research is where a lot of interdisciplinary fields are working together. You have experts from all over the world, and you will have 7, 8, or 9, 10, maybe more researchers working across the globe together. So this is very important that you take extra caution when you publish your own paper. Now we'll talk about AI and ChatGPT, right? Um, Jim, would you like to add anything at this moment?
No, not for now, but just a few words that it's important we understand how important it is to have good information and good source to find a new program, a new tool like ChatGPT. We started talking right now, but it seems like a magical thing, but it's not. We need to be aware. We need to be caution about the fast and easy things. And yeah, that's all.
Okay, thank you, Jim. So as everyone knows, ChatGPT was started sometime in November 2022. It was released as a new and powerful tool for professional, academic community and students. ChatGPT can create text, statistical analysis, lyrics, computer programs, academic researches, and many other things. Right. So you might want to experiment with ChatGPT, and simply begin to ask questions like in a chat form, like you chat on other message systems. But you're asking question, like for example, here Jim has asked a question: how to write a scientific academic article, and that gave us with some interesting tips. And this sounds like good topic. So good information. Identify your research question or objective, review existing literature, so on. So it gives you steps on how to write a good scientific academic article. The question is, Is this something unique? Is this something new? This information is available everywhere else as well. But it is quick, and you are getting that information quickly. We don't know where this information coming from because there is no resource source cited on this information. Okay, so where ChatGPT can help? Um, it can help brainstorming. Very important because when you are working as a team and you are as a group, you are asking certain questions and you're finding information or something that captures your attention, and you start discussing among each other, and it really helps to regenerate some new ideas. It helps in write sentence construction, and have seen that it will help some students to build on what they found and help in the writing process. The important thing is they should not simply copy and paste, but they should build on what they found, and we'll talk about later what source they should submit. Because ChatGPT is not the author, you cannot say that. Many author policies, journal policies, publisher policies, you will find out that they have concerns about ChatGPT as an author. Critical thinking, using the brainstorming, you need critical thinking. And in recent terms, we are also looking at scientific reasoning. So it probably helps in building scientific reasoning skills among students uh, to find sources and use materials in their assignments, in their projects, or in their papers. And when you do this, obviously it also accelerates process of research because you are discovering new terms to research. You're building a vocabulary of scientific research terms, other terms, and you're applying those terms in other, even in continue to apply those terms in ChatGPT or other AI tools to get more information. Writing, organizing, editing articles, and of course, it can help to improve papers, benefit others, and so on. So these are good advantages of ChatGPT and artificial AI platforms. One thing I want to point out is ChatGPT is constantly evolving. So you have ChatGPT 2, 3.5, 4, and now the latest version, the most up-to-date version, they say is not free. So everyone has to purchase that version at $20 per month or something. I don't know, something like that. But in this example, we are only referring to ChatGPT, which is we believe in open access platform. So from the open environment. On the other hand, as we talked about in the scientific literature, there are concerns about um, uh, plagiarism. We can have erroneous information, incorrect citations, log quality, ethical consideration, misconduct, retraction, and so on. And when ChatGPT is used as a primary source, as an author, it definitely is a problem. Um, and we don't want to end up in a situation like this. You find data, but whether this data is correct, where is the data coming from? How do you know whether this data is accurate that you find in ChatGPT? That you definitely need to investigate. Committee on Publication Ethics, they define authorship. It refers to the creator or originator of an idea. Is the ChatGPT creator or originator of an idea? At least it has to be a living human being, an author of the theory of that. For example, the individual or individuals who develop and bring to fruition the product that disseminates intellectual or creative works, and so on. And they are talking about what are the minimum requirements of the authors: substantial contribution, accountability for the work that was done. And that is where the question comes. who is accountable? There was something that you see in ChatGPT. And Drexel's conduct of research policy, they have also defined authorship about it. So you can read through this and you'll see why authorship is so critical and why we need to question ChatGPT as an author. When it came out, a lot of preprints, a lot of articles have cited ChatGPT as an author, and it is a problem. Um, what are the ethical implications? ChatGPT, even being an interesting tool, can bring some ethical issues about integrity and authorship. Authors has innumerous responsibilities, international guidelines about authorship, for example, by the Committee on Publication Ethics and International Committee of Medical Journal Editors stipulate that authors must have requirements that cannot be fulfilled by crediting authorship to ChatGPT or other AI tools, as they are not legal entities. And this was published in 2023. And those references are included at the end of the presentation. So you will see the citations. Jeam has compiled those references, and you can refer to those. And these are some question to ask is, who is responsible? Who is accountable for information that is on ChatGPT? The big worry in the research community using ChatGPT is that students and scientists could conduct an incomplete literature review and produce work that is unreliable. And in some instances, we have seen that it came up with certain citations which were made up references. And there's a lot of literature about it also. So you have to be very careful. And as an author, as a submitter of the article, it is your responsibility to make sure that what you're finding in ChatGPT is reliable, and the citations that include in your paper are genuine references before you submit to a publisher. Several preprints published articles have already credited ChatGPT with formal authorship, and this is published in a Nature article from 2023. And again, that reference is at the end. Some publishers, like Elsewhere, has strongly standards to avoid misconduct and unnecessary use of AI. And they have created a nice big frequently asked questions on their website. Why has Elsewhere decided that AI and AI assisted tools cannot be created as an author or published work? And you can go to the details of this, and this is the website where you can access that information. Authors are responsible for ensuring that the work is original and the stated authors qualify for authorship and the work does not infringe third-party rights. So a lot of discussion has to go through before you use material that you found in AI tools and you're including that in your paper. You need to justify, you need to make sure that there is someone who actually have uh, created this experiment or submitted the findings that we are citing. All AI tools must give you sources of citations which are valid. Yes, ChatGPT can be a great tool to find information, learning how to create good queries, or helping students to become critical thinkers, but not in writing research papers, at least at this stage. And we have seen there's a lot of literature about it, and you can find those papers very easily. Some examples of ChatGPT responses. Now, we are going to include those here. Um, so let's get the next slide. And we asked a question about how to find a research paper on a particular topic or something. How to find. We are looking for research papers on climate change and sustainability, or please send us some important literature on climate change sustainability, was the question asked. And the response we got from ChatGPT: to access peer-reviewed research papers on climate change and sustainability, I recommend, this is ChatGPT responding, is through academic databases such as Google Scholar, ResearchGate, And they're calling even ResearchGate as a academic database, which I have a doubt that we call it a academic database. There are some issues with ResearchGate in the past. Um, if I say engineering village or ProQuest or other those such databases, it is a different story. Database is provided by your local university or academic institution. So ChatGPT is directing me to our own university and academic institution to do my research. These platforms offer access to a wide range of scholarly articles and research papers on various topics, including climate change and stability. So instead of providing those papers, accessing those papers through ChatGPT, it is asking me to go and to the library subscribed databases and find those papers. At least this is at this stage, this is happening. In future, it can change. Another, in continuation, it said, remember that Engineering Village is a paid subscription service, so you may require access through your own institution and personal subscription to retrieve full text conference papers. The question we asked here was, I'm looking for a conference paper on a particular topic. And then it came up with this response. If you do not have access, you can try reaching out to your local library. Again, they're mentioning your library or academic institution and inquire about Access Engineering Village or similar engineering research databases that your library provides. And I know IITs have access to number of engineering databases, and now they have digital humanities and other disciplines. Those databases they also have access to. So I strongly encourage you to start using your own databases and use an AI tool to find some additional info that could be used to do more in-depth research later on. Another question here that we asked, research me for a paper about how sustainability houses can help the environment and economy. Impact of sustainable housing. Sustainability and environment is a big topic these days. And because we asked for a research paper, it gave me a title, Impact of Sustainable Housing on Environment Economy, a comprehensive review. This title, all of this is generated by AI text. It gave me an abstract. It gives me all the structure of the paper. But remember, it did not give me the whole paper. It only gave me the frameworks like this. And the research paper will compile information from reputable sources, academic journals, case studies, government reports to provide comprehensive analysis, and so on. By highlighting the benefits and addressing the challenge, the paper will contribute to the growing body of knowledge on sustainable living and so on. This whole text is generated by AI, but nothing more than that, right? We wanted a paper, but it only gave the directions.
Yes,
With
and
no
then
right?
sorry to interrupt you. It's interesting
Sure.
because they say, "Oh, this paper contains reputable sources, academic journals, but ChatGPT don't show us a list of reference." So this is a good thing. They organized information well, an abstract. They gave us a title, a structure of the work, but they don't give us any reference, any authors. So we don't know exactly what kind of reputable sources uh, is that, because we don't have this. So this is, I believe, a weakness from ChatGPT.
Right. And I also want to highlight and add to Jim's comment is that for the last few days, Jim and I constantly brainstorming all those responses, right? So we do a test out, we look at the response, we send this question and response to each other. Then Jim would do another similar question and ask question to ChatGPT and found as different responses of the same question. And ChatGPT, right, Jim, it gives you the response to create an option, regenerate a response or something. When you click on it, it gives you another response. So we did a lot of brainstorming ourselves, right, Jim? How was
Yes.
that experience to you?
Oh, great. Great, great. Because as I told you before, it's a new thing. It's a new tool, and sometimes we used to see this as a threat or as a bad thing. No, there are positive things, but we need to understand. We need to research a lot, and then we see that it's not so magical as it seems. There's a lot of weakness, and this thing about the we're doing the same question and have different answers. This concern because it's inconsistent and inaccurate responses. So how deep can we trust in this tool?
Another question that we asked, bring me data about fire in the in USA in 2023. So we wanted to find out how many fires took place. If you were looking at the news here, we had a lot of fires in not just in the USA, but also from Canada and other places. And the smoke used to travel from Canada in this. It came over Philadelphia as well. So our air quality has gone really bad in those days. And it happened recently because the big and I guess because of climate change, temperatures were so high in different places, and especially in the forest area, the wind and the dryness will create or something happens and the fire is generated, and then the whole uh, trees, a nearby area uh, uh, got damaged and fire progresses, and sometimes it can go to a residential area also. And they had to evacuate many homes also at that time. Now, it was interesting the response that we got. I apologize for any confusion, but as an AI language model, my knowledge is limited. So ChatGPT is admitting that her knowledge is limited. I do not have access to real-time data, including information about fires in the USA in 2023. My training only goes up to September 2021. At least this free version of ChatGPT is only finding data till 2021. I don't know if the paid version has gone beyond that, but still, um, it accurate data is not available, um, and it will in fact recommending us to check sources like National Interagency Fire Center, U.S. Forest Service, or other government agencies that have compiled data. And they are not even naming which government agencies. It's up to us to search using our databases and our search engines to find those agencies are and find data sets from there. Another, this is an important topic. Can paper content received and used in a research paper get retracted? And it admits, yes, the paper content of a research paper can be retracted after publication. And again, it repeats the things that we have discussed, why the paper could be retracted, and also includes some reasoning of retraction, like data fabrication, plagiarism, ethical violation, unintentional errors, duplicate publication, and so on, authorship disputes. And this text is generated by AI. So it's a good text. I can use some of this information. I can build on it to my own paper. But what reference I'm going to give? Where that is a big debate I'm having, because uh, ChatGPT obviously has consulted some resources to where they pulled out this information, but we do not know what those resources are, except that it came on ChatGPT. And again, this is containing information from AI, from ChatGPT, right, Jim? This is also from ChatGPT, right?
Yes, yes.
Uh, they serve as a signal to the scientific community that the papers should no longer be relied. So it's even telling that Retraction is a serious matter, should not be taken lightly. And that is the message we want to pass across to you as well. Can paper content received and used in a research paper get retracted? And I asked the same question, and um, uh, uh, we see that it's a different result. Question is the same, words and order of reasons is different. So this is completely a different response of the same question, but very similar. So I guess they have created some I guess the AI can come up and will build another response highlighting similar concepts. Again, we don't know where this information coming from, except that it is from ChatGPT. And again, we are citing this paper, considering any declaration of the contribution of the ChatGPT to writing any scientific articles should be recognized, and publishing misconduct immediately and be retracted. And again, this is from 2023 paper. They are suggesting and recommending that any scientific article who has declared contribution of ChatGPT should be recognized as a publishing misconduct. Because according to these authors, and that's a concern. And it again refers to our conduct of research policy at Drexel as well. This article which just came recently, and it is published on July 7, 2023, very recent, from Nature. Scientists used ChatGPT to generate an entire paper from scratch, but is it any good? And the writers say that by designing an autonomous system that fed prompts to the chatbot, researchers produced a paper that was fluent and insightful, yet there are many concerns. AI tools could result in journals being flooded with low-quality papers. Researchers can engage in dishonest practices, something like that. They can only report those that produce significant result, p-hacking, they call it. There needs to be greater visibility of AI tools in research papers, and this is definitely a problem, as I keep on repeating that we do not know where these resources are coming from, but this visibility is not there. So it is difficult to assess whether a study's findings are correct or not. And next two slides are screenshots from this paper. So you will see benefits and concerns, but these are mainly concerns. The author who mentions that the researcher mentions that these tools could make it easier for research to engage in dishonest practices. Ease of producing papers could result in journals being flooded with low quality papers. And although the team's data to paper approach demonstrates how papers can be generated autonomously, it is also specifically designed to create papers that explains the steps ChatGPT took to get there, meaning that researchers can understand, check, and replicate the methods and findings. So that is the benefit. And another comment here said, we will likely need to do more in the future of producing fake papers will be so easy. What it is saying that it could result in more fake papers if we only rely on AI tools. And another comment, I don't think writing entire papers, at least in this foreseeable future, is going to be a particularly good use of AI. Again, this particular person who provided his comments is a computational biologist at Broad Institute of MIT and Harvard in Cambridge. Is ChatGPT information reliable? Again, this question Jim asked. Jim, you want to highlight this?
Yes. It's interesting because we can read the answer we have when we ask if it's reliable. As an AI language model, I provide information based on the vast amount of data I've been trained on. Just remind you, ChatGPT just consider data after September 2021. Which includes text from books, articles, websites, and other sources up until my last update in September 2021. While efforts have been made to ensure the accuracy of the information, I may not always have the most current or up-to-date data, and I can't guarantee that all the information I provide is entirely accurate or reliable. And then they finish, it's essential to cross-verify any critical information I provide with trusted and authoritative sources. My response should be considered as helpful suggestions and not a substitute for professional advice or official source. Always exercise critical thinking and use multiple reliable sources when making important decisions or seeking accurate information. It's great. I try two different things. If you want ideas, for example, this could be a silly example, but you want ideas to do a birthday party. So yes, they bring to you 10, 20, 50 different ideas to do that. So this is great. I've been researching about scientific reasoning, and I ask about the skills to use scientific reasoning. And I had, I believe, 8 or 10 different skills. And that was great for me because I already found this information in different sources. So yes, they match. So this is good. But when you try to write an entire article or a paper, yes, ChatGPT has this answer. Don't trust in everything given to you. You need to cross-verify informations and look for reliable sources, database, for example.
Great. So, and final question, because we are talking about retraction,
Mhm.
can paper written using ChatGPT be retracted? And this is the response um, that ChatGPT gave us. While ChatGPT can assist in providing information and generating text on various topics, including those of a scientific nature, it is crucial to acknowledge that any content created using ChatGPT should be treated as the output of an AI model and not as a scientifically viewed or verified publication. And this is critical, critically important. And this response coming from ChatGPT itself. It is not scientifically viewed or verified publication. You can repeat that question yourself and you will see what you find. Uh, if any accuracies or ethical issues or other problems are discovered, the paper after publication may be subject to retraction, just like any other paper from ChatGPT. So it can be retracted. So ChatGPT itself is admitting that if a paper were to be written using ChatGPT and submitted for publication, it would be subject to the standard peer review process. And if it is determined that it is plagiarized or other things, issues that we talked about, like authorship, who is the author, for example, and looking at the publisher's policy, that could be an issue, and the paper could be retracted. And finally, it is essential to understand that ChatGPT is a tool that requires human guidance, and the final responsibility for the content produced ultimately lies with the authors who use the AI model to generate their work. So you are responsible for your creation. That is why this responsibility lies. You cannot blame it on ChatGPT. Researchers and authors should follow established guidelines, adhere to ethical standards, ensure the validity of the research when using AI language models like ChatGPT as a supplementary tool in their work. So it is just a supplementary tool, not a major tool. Uh, and you must need validity of your findings before you submit your paper for publication. So this is the ultimate question. Can paper written using ChatGPT be retracted? And here is the ChatGPT response. So final words. Um, ChatGPT is an excellent tool for time and cost saving, writing quality content, generating codes, improving skill sets. Totally relying on it can create many problems that ultimately damage the person's credibility. Why it is better to use it wisely and not cheat others. And this is also a 2023 paper. All recent papers otherwise we are citing in this presentation. And as I mentioned before, it is constantly evolving. So new and new things are being developed every day. So this presentation and ideas could change in a month, in a two, or next year could be something completely different. So we need to continuously monitor these evolving, critically important issues for scientists, educators, students, and everyone. And final thoughts: you must appreciate and respect research. Quality must be maintained. We should be responsible for what we are researching and how we are presenting the data, and we should be responsible for our own uh, communication, and zero tolerance for scientific misconduct. Universities, educational institutions, PhD advisors, research advisors must uh, 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 help students develop a spirit of zero tolerance. So students themselves do not commit to misconduct. Ask questions, explore questions, and if you think there are certain issues which are questionable, go deeper into this before making any conclusion. Respect peer review process, give credit to the sources used, verify your paper, and this applies to also paper generated using chat GPT as well. And it is even more, even you need to scrutinize even more in that case. And lot of training, teaching required. Believe in contribution of quality, efficient, and ethical research in publications. You want to increase the image of yourself. You want to enhance the reputation of your institution in the process, and you want to enhance the reputation of the country in the process by relying on these ethical approaches. And use AI tools such as ChatGPT wisely and responsibly. That is our final comment. And these are the references that we have referred to here. And you can click on this link and find those papers, and you will find more and more papers. And final tip, I'm repeating again, use alerts in different databases, or even in Google Scholar or Google Alerts, and save it so that every time new article on ChatGPT is appears in a newspaper or a media or a journal, you will see that as an alert, and you will continue to build knowledge on it. And our libraries also have a number of tutorials that we have created. The first link is all our library video tutorials, and next is my webinars that I have done at university libraries using finding, researching information, different databases like Scopus, Web of Science, and other tools, and our contact information. Uh, please feel free to ask any questions. Don't hesitate. We love to have interaction. I believe in Socratic method of inquiry, in meaning that I love to have questions. I ask questions. I ask Jim. Jim asks me questions, and that dialogue that happens is really helping us to go deeper into the topic. And that is what we do when we have student consultations. We have engineering teams come to our offices, and this used to happen a lot before the COVID days. Now it is becoming more Zoom, and hopefully in coming months we will have more students coming back to our libraries. But right now all this consultation discussion are happening over Zoom, online. But and I also tell our students to ask questions. It's important, and this question answer process is the discovery. They help learn about new tools in the process. And Jim, you could add your final comments as well.
Yes, yes. First of all, thank you for allowed me to be part of this, and it's important we see different platforms, different tools as another possibility. Our concern here is not say if it's good or bad, but understand as another resource that can help us in our academic work. The concern is if we see, for example, ChatGPT as the only resource, the primary source, and this is bad. So you're not alone on your journey. You have your professors, you have librarians. So ask a librarian. Ask for help. The librarians, for example, can personalize what you need, the service, diversity of materials, sources, tools. So this is my recommend. Use this ChatGPT or other platform wisely, and see this as a different possibility, another possibility, and not the only one. So yeah, thank you. Thank you again.
And thank you again to IIT, to Kshema, to Kamlesh, and everyone involved to invite us for this presentation. It means a lot to us. And I think this global dialogue should continue to happen in future so that we exchange ideas and learn from each other. And thank you all so much. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Would love to have questions.
Yes. Thank you, Jay and Jeem. This was absolutely interesting exchange of, your presentation. And now for a little exchange of ideas, I would open this floor for any questions that our students might have. Please go ahead. Yes. Please introduce yourself and go ahead.
Ma'am, myself Somraj Gautam. I am a PhD scholar in IIT Jodhpur in Computer Science Department. First of all, good evening from Indian Standard Time. And it was a very great presentation on ChatGPT. It was very intense. Analysis of ChatGPT. I would like to just add one thing that ChatGPT also provides links that are wrong. I actually checked the links also, they are all wrong.
Yes.
And one question I have that how editorials or publishers, they will check whether this generated paper or generated paragraph is from ChatGPT. That was my question.
Yeah, I think there are other AI tools which are developed, they are being currently developed that would detect where this information coming from. So if it comes from ChatGPT, those tools will identify that it is coming from ChatGPT. And these publishers have intensified efforts in designing those tools. And you will see that more and more such tools are coming to detect where the information coming from. And sometimes the editors and the peer reviewers have to see the flow of papers, and they have to pay particular attention to because if it is from ChatGPT and all of a sudden you add your own ideas, you will see the change of thought processes and how the sentences and how the construction and structure of the paper has changed, and that could trigger a doubt among the reviewers if they are paying attention to. So what it means also is the peer review has to become more critical and important. Peer review just not is the review, they need to give a complete response and full attention to do review process. Idea is to publish papers so that retraction is less and less and less. And that has to be accomplished, and it is everyone's responsibility. It's not just the researchers, the scientists, the scholars, but everyone involved. And thank you for adding that comment about links. I really appreciate it. And Jim and I can maybe also test some of these and how these are wrong. And I think we have noticed that too, some other things that were not correct.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So yes, to add to what Jay has said, just a small bit. Yes, these editors and reviewers, the publishing houses, they have their own plagiarism detection tools. And now the new addition in the detection tool that we use prominently in IIT and across other IITs, the Turnitin has also integrated a feature on ChatGPT detection.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. That's a great. Maybe we should explore this further using Turnitin. That's great.
Yeah, that's right.
So
Any
does
more
it tell you,
questions?
does it tell you where it is coming from in ChatGPT?
I haven't had the opportunity to explore this myself, Jay. What I got to hear from the Turnitin team back home in the headquarters, I mean the Indian headquarters at Delhi, is that they have integrated this tool, and I'm yet to explore. This is a very recent news that I heard from them.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah. Any more questions? Yes, please.
Thank you, sir, for the interesting session. I have one question. Like in one of your slide, it was given if our institute don't have access to some a journal, can we ask to author for providing a full text? Because sometimes we also got some request in ResearchGate or some similar kind of platforms to give access to full text or provide, or they mail us also like.
Yeah.
Please provide that full text. Not openly, means if somebody do mail or we do mail to authors, is it ethical or not?
Yeah, there are two things here. ResearchGate initially, when it was launched, it used to give the full PDF article if the authors had posted it, but that resulted in a lot of storm by the publishers, and they made it. I guess that is how it changed. That they need to seek permission. So if you see a paper and they ask for permission, you can go ahead and ask them, and they might be able to give you. But remember that when the paper is published, if it is not in the open access platform, that publishers has the authors have given up their copyright to the publishers. So essentially, it is the publisher who would make a decision, not the author, because the author no longer has the copyright unless the by mutual agreements, if the article is an institutional repository, then it can be accessed that way. But always always ask authors if they are able to give you. That's fine. But
So, yeah. Yes, Jay.
yeah, and other thing could be that I don't know in India, but in the US we have something called resource sharing mechanisms. So if we need a paper that we do not have access to, we usually request it. And what happens is that our interlibrary loan system submit that request, and immediately within a day or two that we receive the paper from the university or institution that has access to this, and we send it to our students. So if you have such mechanism in IITs or in consortium situations, you should be able to get paper that way.
Yes. So, to tell you, may I know your name? Who asked this question? Sorry. From which department? 1 second. He's giving you the mic.
Ma'am, my name is Bhumika from Computer Science Department.
Right. So, Mohita, the thing is, we do have a very strong network of resource sharing and interlibrary loans amongst all the 23 IITs and Indian Institute of Science Education Research and Indian Institute of Science, all the CFTIs, in fact. And if you look up on the library website, there is an online form where you can type in your request and we receive the request immediately. For example, if you don't have an access, you are not able to access a particular paper. You fill in the form and we request, the request is received by us and we act upon it immediately. As Jay said, it hardly takes a day or two for us to provide you with the soft copy of the paper because we have formal arrangements. So this service is, it's greatly used in at least in our IIT, and our turnaround ratio is close to 98%. This has been a very successful service in our library. Please look up the website. If you need any further help, please come down, visit us in the library. We are here to help you. Right?
That's fantastic. And one thing also I want to add is um, uh, it also gives data for the university libraries that this particular journal is heavily in demand. So you think about subscribing to it. As the cost per use ratio is high, then you don't want to subscribe. But if the cost per use is very low, then we need to think about getting. So I suggest that when we keep track of how many articles are requested, how many journals are requested, what journals are requested the most, and depending upon also the decision to subscribe or not are taken. One thing I really encourage is not to ask to other students from other different universities, because every university is governed by their licensing mechanisms. It is only within their university usually that they can provide papers. By resource sharing, as Kshema mentioned, that is perfectly fine. This is how you should do, because that is perfectly exact way to receive articles that you do not have access to.
Yes, yes, I support this because this data which we've been maintaining since the inception, this service, it came into existence ever since the library came into existence since 2010. And the data we maintain perfectly, the backend data that we collect and analyze, that this becomes a feeder for the subscription decisions that we take at the end of each year. So ask us, don't go to other sources. I mean, in the sense, yeah, not non-formal sources. Don't go for informal sources or any other ghost sites. Rather approach us. Since we have a great turnaround ratio of 98%, we assure you of great service. Right? Anything else?
And for computer science, you have access to ACM Digital Library or IEEE. These are the major sources of papers and conference articles, I think.
Right.
There's few others.
So if the House agrees upon it, we will request Jay for another session in the near future on engineering resources. Since he is a subject librarian, engineering librarian, and his knowledge is far and wide, and he has a rich experience in engineering sciences. We can have another session with him if he agrees. We can
Sure.
continue this, as he said, the global dialogue should continue. We can do another session.
And I want to add that I'm also an engineer. My master's degree is in electrical engineering.
Oh, yes.
So there are 3 other masters that I have. But what happened is when I was doing my master's in electrical engineering, I know how the information is needed, how students do research information, so I can easily apply that experience in my day-to-day life as well. But it's a challenging experience, especially you are researching and you are applying that for a hands-on application, especially in the engineering area.
That's great. Yes. And we look forward to having you on campus during your visit to India. It'll be great to catch up on campus and have a one-to-one interaction, in-person interaction with you, Jay.
Yeah, I would love to. And this is a fantastic experience. I'm really, really happy to be here today. And it has been a pleasure working with you, Kshema.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And just to add a couple of things to what Jay and Jim have already shared with you, there are guidelines for ethics in research and in governance, CSIR guidelines 2020, and ICMR policy, the Indian Council for Medical Research, has a policy on research integrity and publication ethics, 2019 publication. And research and publication ethics, there is a whole course, a MOOC on Swayam platform by Dr. Anirban Ghosh from Netaji Subhash Open University. It's a highly credited course. You can always look it up. And just one example before I request for the closure formalities for today. Just one heads up I would like to give you. I came across this article in Science magazine. Science is a very old and a popular magazine published by American Association for Advancement of Science. It talks about The title says, Did a nasty publishing scheme help an Indian dental school with high rankings? It has something to do with the publication and rankings. How publications can go wrong and spoil your reputation, and where all can this ripple effect, how far can it go? What could be the possible effects? Where all could it travel? Because ethics and integrity are most important parts of your research, because you're all starting off on your research journey, the publications. It's very important. So it says each year the 500 undergraduate students at a certain college participate in 4-hour exams that require them to write 1,500-word manuscript on research they have conducted. After faculty and students review and revise the papers, they use an online tool to add references to previously published work. Many of the papers are then submitted to the published by journals. The process contributed to more than 1,400 scholarly works the dental school published last year. So this is a ripple effect. It was investigated into how they have increased their citations exponentially, and this is not a good practice. Right? This is a malpractice. One should recognize, one should be able to distinguish between a good practice and a malpractice. Once done, maybe out of ignorance, but once understood, should never be repeated. This is just one example I'm giving you. So what I'll do is I will share with Jay's permission these sources that he has cited for your own study, and I'll add my references and my thoughts to it. I'll share with you all, and please drop down into library or connect with us over email or telephone or whatever form you want to, whatever mode you would want to connect with us. We are always available. Thank you so much, and it's been an interesting session. Thank you all the participants. Before I close today's session, I request Professor Rangra, Chairman Library Committee, to kindly present his concluding remarks about this webinar series that we have started, and especially today's session. Professor Rangra? Was there anything, Jay, that you wanted to add? I'm sorry.
No, I think we added everything so far. And I think, as we mentioned, this is an evolving topic. So only advice I would have is that continuously monitor these new developments, because this, things are changing so fast.
Right. Sir.
Good evening. Thanks for attending the webinar series. It's my pleasure to conclude the session, which had basically two presentations, I think. First one on 16th probably, and today, 15th. Okay, 15th. Okay, so I must express my sincere thanks to the speakers. Dr. Jay Bhatt, engineering librarian and responsible for the Scholarly Connects, and Dr. Jeam, a librarian responsible for library resources and quality management, improvement rather, from Drexel University, USA. The topic they have discussed is quite contemporary, and they have, befitting the topic, they have done the justification in elaborating it. I hope it is useful to our research scholars and faculty as well. In my opinion, it holds good for starting from a simple UG level thesis to PhD and to your publications which are meant for the global reader. All of us know the importance of writing. I would share one old German proverb which says, "Wer schreibt, der bleibt." Literally, it means the one who writes, he survives. This has been true for maybe hundreds of years, and maybe I think it will stay true again another 100, 200 years. Reason being, I'm saying that people are thinking AI would and ChatGPT like tools would replace the authors, the writers. Nevertheless, behind every AI ChatGPT form type, you would have always a person who originates, who comes up with the original thinking. So that would remain. Writing, communication, what you call the dissemination of knowledge, is something which is unique to humans. It makes them different from other species, right? And because of this preservation and the propagation of the knowledge, they're able to progress. They're the masters of the universe, of this planet, and they can tell lies also. They can create fear also, right? And the current tools may be adding to it a little more. So that's where the caution is required. In present context, when it comes to the publications, it is the culmination of your hard work. Long years of schooling, reading, design, simulations, experiments, data collection, processes, devices, and then the characterization, validation. This is all you go through. Your results, as already mentioned by the speakers, your results, your conclusions, they form the basis of future technology. And accordingly, they determine the shape of the society and even of the nations. To give you an example, there are many examples, right? If you do any scientific misconduct here, you're blocking the channel, further channel. You may get your PhD and paper, but further channels are blocked. There are many examples. I won't get into the examples, but I simply share with you that with so many IITs, so many research institutions, best of them, what is the number of products we get out of this? Or what is the number of processes we get out of this? What are the algorithms we got out of this? Almost 70% would lie somewhere. So it could be there's a question like why it is happening that way. I don't say we are doing that scientific misconduct, but something serious is going on. Okay. So this calls for the quality, the integrity, and speed of your communication. Speed is also important. How fast we should be communicating. There are many examples from industry. I'll remind this, I think electrical engineering students and computer science, of course, they would be knowing that Intel is known for making the microprocessors. I think first one was 4004, somewhere in early 70s. And it was followed by 8008 and other series. In parallel, we had yet another company, which was called DEC, Digital Equipment Corporation, which was making mainframe computers based upon VMS, VAX VMS, this series was called. Now, Intel was kind of intelligent enough. They opened their architecture of the processors to academic community. DEC didn't do it. So eventually, Intel had the edge because they could attract brilliant manpower to support the industry and design, whereas DEC couldn't get. So they closed up pretty shortly. So the speed and right kind of communication is very important for us. So this calls for the judicious use of your tools, including ChatGPT based upon AI and other tools, to leverage your research, to make it authentic, to communicate it at proper time, so that your results, your findings, finally find usage for the larger benefit of the society. Otherwise, okay, I can share yet another example, not really an example related to this, but maybe this is helpful. At one meeting chaired by none other than Dr. B.K. Atre, who was advisor to PMO, scientific advisor, he said, "Dear professors, today you will not talk about your papers. You will not talk about your thesis. Talk about your products." Right? The time has come. So refraining from the misconduct, being the original creator of the knowledge and passing this thing on time at required time, that's what the crux of the research is. At SRR Learning Hub, it's our earnest endeavor to help you in this, so that finally you are able to help yourself, increase your visibility, and contribute to society at large in terms of your research products. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Excellent.
Thank you.
Good evening, all. On behalf of IIT Jodhpur, I stand here to express my gratitude and extend a warm vote of thanks to the speaker, Jai Bhatt, and team Jeam, Camilo, esteemed faculty member, staff member, and student who made this event a resounding success. Today, we learned about the research integrity and use about ChatGPT for scholarly communication. We are fortunate to have respected expert who shed light on research integrity and ChatGPT that students should be aware of when navigating academic communication. Their discussion was interactive, thought-provoking, pushing us to think critically and participate in intellectual conversation. Last but not the least, we express our deepest gratitude to the Director IIT Jodhpur for providing us with the much needed support and a platform to host this event. His commitment to fostering academic excellence and promoting scholarly discourse is commendable, and we are privileged to be a part of such a vibrant academic community. In closing, I place my thank on record to the chairman, library committee, my library team, computer center, and logistic team for their kind support. Thank you all for your presence and active participation. Please join us for a high tea in the lobby. Certificates of participation shall be emailed to you on your registered email ID. Thank you.
Right, Jay and Jim, thank you very much once again for acceding to my request and accepting this, stage to speak on. And it was really interesting. Wishing you both a great day ahead and looking forward to another fruitful session of interaction in future.
Thank you, Chema. It's wonderful. It has been so privileged to be able to connect with you all, and I feel like I'm in IIT Jodhpur and talking to you all in person. But of course, I will not be able to have high tea in face to face. I'm going to have tea
So it's a
after my
virtual
session.
cheers from here.
Tea and biscuits, I guess. Good.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. See you then.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye,
Jim.
everyone. Bye.
Bye, Jim.
Thank you.